There wasn't a corner of the planet untouched by protests this year. From tear gas streets of Ferguson, Missouri to the streets of Jadavpur University in West Bengal. While some protests were remarkably peaceful, like the Occupy Hong Kong, which was galvanized by public anger, others turned violent, like the Kiss of Love campaign in Delhi, Hyderabad and Chennai. Not every protest was effective. Hong Kongers still don't have democratic rights, Jadavpur University protests are still ongoing, and those in Ferguson are still awaiting justice. But the wave of social action that ended 2014 is unlikely to crest in 2015. And social media will perhaps play a bigger role in galvanizing anger against injustice. What follows are some of the most powerful footage of protests from the global streets in 2014. Earlier in 2014, anti-government protests in Thailand blocked key intersection in the heart of Bangkok in an attempt to bring the government to a standstill and force the Prime Minister to quit. Protest leaders who called themselves the People's Democratic Reform Committee wanted the government to hand over power to an unelected People's Council. Almost 200,000 protesters joined hands in what is being called one of the largest protests that Thailand has ever seen. On September 16th, peaceful demonstration by students led to police brutality. The students were demanding an investigation into an alleged case of molestation of a female student. The police action triggered a wave of protests by students and teachers. Criticism of the police brutality included that the police used baton charge on a peaceful demonstration and that female students were manhandled and molested by male police officers, and that several men not in uniform attacked the students. The police maintained that there were plainclothesmen among their ranks, while the students insist that these were Trinamool Congress cadre. The incident sparked solidarity protests from various student unions across the country. Thousands of people around the world protested against Israeli military action in Gaza. Thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters took to the streets of numerous European cities, including London and Paris, to demand an immediate end to the conflict. The largest one in Europe drew 11,000 people to the streets of Vienna, who marched across the city centre to the official residence of the country's president. Between 8 July and 27 August, more than 2,100 Palestinians were killed in the Gaza Strip, which includes almost 1,500 civilians, of whom 495 were children and 253 women, according to a UN report. Thousands of people angry over alleged police inaction after a 6-year-old girl was raped at her school in Bangalore rallied to demand that authorities arrest those responsible for the attack. More than 4,000 parents and relatives of children who attended the school in Bangalore shouted slogans against the school's administration and demanded that the police arrest those involved in the July 2nd incident. The rape has raised questions about safety of India's school children and sparked a nationwide outrage over rampant sexual violence against girls and women. The protests put pressure on the police to arrest the suspect and even led to the police commissioner being replaced. Pakistan's Tehreek-e-Insaf chief Imran Khan called for a 1 million-man march to overthrow the ruling government, alleging rigging by Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's party during the last elections. Protesters followed Imran Khan from Lahore to Islamabad and marched in unity, hoping to topple the government. Although Imran Khan made all attempts to ignite the nation, the crowd size fell far short of expectations. Several thousand supporters by most estimates, but not the billed 1 million-man march. Scores of pro-Tibet activists staged demonstrations outside the Chinese embassy in Delhi to protest the Chinese President Jinping's visit to India. The Chinese head of state was in the country to discuss a range of issues, both regional and global. However, economic cooperation was highest on the agenda. Meanwhile, an envoy of the Tibetan government in exile had asked the centre to raise the Tibet issue with Jinping during his visit. Several protesters were detained by police as they staged a demonstration outside the Chinese embassy in Delhi. Pro-democracy voices rose to a fever pitch this year in Hong Kong, with protesters laying siege in the heart of the city. In September, after a class boycott campaign, students led by the Hong Kong Federation and Schoolism stormed the Civic Square, triggering a mass crowd to protest outside the central government offices in Admiralty. A few days later, another campaign called Occupy Central with Love and Peace, Civil Disobedience joined the ongoing student protests. As the scenes in Central and Admiralty became more dramatic, the police employed tear gas, pepper spray and batons in their attempt to disperse protesters. Excessive use of violence and dispersion of demonstrators by Hong Kong police antagonized and frustrated general public feelings. This, however, did not deter the crowds, as thousands more began to occupy other major thoroughfares of Hong Kong, mainly Mong Kong and Causeway Bay. 2 months later, as the public lost interest in the protest and Beijing issued warnings about strict action, the riot police cleared the protest sites, even as protesters claimed they would be back. A non-violent protest against the moral policing which began in Kerala quickly spread to other parts of the country. The movement began when a Facebook page called Kiss of Love asked youths across Kerala to participate in a protest against moral policing on November 2, 2014. The page received widespread support with more than 143,000 likes on Facebook. After the initial protests in Kochi, similar protests were organized in other major parts of the country in cities such as Hyderabad and Chennai. The campaign received strong opposition from various religious and political groups like the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Shiv Sena and the Bajrang Dal. As the grand jury came to a decision for not indicting police officer Darren Wilson in the shooting of black teenager Michael Brown, the town of Ferguson erupted in massive protests. The protesters in Ferguson see the case as a symbol of racism and police brutality. Most of the town's residents are black and most of its police officers are white. The first round of protests after the shooting in August was focused in Ferguson. The second round of protests, in reaction to the jury's decision, spread across America, finding a broader resonance with people who believe racism is still pervasive in the American police system, with many believing that the police uses excessive force, in particular towards the black people.
Scoring.
Because of that one mistake, Sarita Devi's career should not be jeopardized.
Veteran Indian boxing champion Ram Sarita Devi found an unlikely supporter in Sachin Tendulkar. Enraged after losing the 57-60 kg lightweight semi-finals against Park Jina of South Korea in Asian Games this year, the 32-year-old boxer refused to wear the bronze medal when it was presented to her, taking it only in her hand before trying to drape it over Park Jina. She then left the bronze medal behind, even though the organizers told her to take it with her. The protest against the unfair decision of the match soon sparked a campaign on social media, with several celebrities expressing solidarity. Her actions also sparked severe criticism, and the AIBA considered taking strict action against her. Sarita is currently banned from international boxing for 1 year.